Master, they have spoken to me about you for some time. One day, on a mountainside, you said so many truthful things that our doctors cannot excel them. They remained in my heart, and since then I have been thinking of you. Then I was told that you are good and that you do not reject sinners. I am a sinner, Master. They told me that you cure sick people. My heart is diseased because I defrauded. I practiced usury. I have been a depraved fellow, a thief, hard on the poor. But now I have been cured because you spoke to me. You approached me, and the demon of sensuality and riches fled. And as from today, I belong to you, if you do not reject me. And to prove to you that I am reborn in you, I divest myself of the ill-acquired riches, and I give you half of my wealth for the poor, and I will use the other half to give back, multiplied by 4, what I got by fraud. I know whom I cheated. Then, after handing back to each of them what belongs to them, I will follow you, Master, if you allow me. I do want that. Come. I have come to save and call people to the light. Today, light and salvation have come to the house of your heart. Those who over there, beyond the gate, are grumbling because I have redeemed you sitting at your banquet, are forgetting that you are a son of Abraham, as they are, and that I have come to save who was lost, and to give life to those whose spirits were dead. Come, Zacchaeus, you have understood my words better than many people who follow me only to be able to accuse me. Therefore you will be with me as from now on. The vision ends here. On the day after Maria Valtorta receives the vision, that is on the 18th of July 1944, Jesus speaks to her. There is yeast and yeast. There is the yeast of good and the yeast of evil. The yeast of evil, a satanic poison, ferments more easily than the yeast of good, because it finds matter more suitable for fermentation in the heart of man, in the thought of man, in the flesh of man, seduced all three by a selfish will, contrary therefore to the universal will, which is the will of God. The will of God is universal because it is never confined to a personal thought, but it takes into consideration the welfare of the whole universe. Nothing can increase the perfection of God in any way, as he has always possessed everything in a perfect manner. Thus there can be no thought in him of personal gain inciting any of his actions. When we say, this is done to the greater glory of God, in the interest of God, we do not mean that divine glory is in itself susceptible to improvement, but that everything which in creation bears the mark of good, and any person doing good, and thus deserving to possess it, is adorned with the sign of divine glory, and thus gives glory to glory itself, which has created all things gloriously. It is, in short, the testimony which people and things bear to God, giving evidence with their deeds of the perfect origin from which they come. Thus, when God orders or advises you to do an action, or inspires you with one, he does not aim at any selfish interest, but at your welfare with altruistic, charitable mind. That is, therefore, the reason why the will of God is never selfish. On the contrary, it is a will which aims entirely at altruism and universality. It is the only and true strength in the universe which considers universal welfare. On the contrary, the yeast of good spiritual embryo coming from God grows through difficulties and hardships, as it has against itself the reactions propitious to the other one, the flesh, the heart, the thought of man, pervaded with selfishness, the antithesis of good, which by its origin can be but love. Most men lack the will of good, and consequently good becomes sterile and dies, or lives so poorly that it does not leaven. It remains as it was. There is no grave fault, but there is not even the effort to do the greatest good. The spirit thus lies inert, not dead, but unfruitful. Bear in mind that not to do evil serves only to avoid hell. To enjoy one's beautiful paradise, one must do good. It is essential. As much good as one can do, struggling against oneself and other people. Because I said that I had come not to bring peace, but war, also between father and children, brothers and sisters, when such war was to defend the will of God and his law against the abuse of human wills aiming at what is contrary to what God wants.